Aloha, and thank you for viewing another episode of Maunalua, Past, Present, and Future. My name is Kendrick Chang, and I'm a Community Outreach Coordinator with Livable Hawaii Kai Hui. And this episode, to kick off the year 2020, a new decade, we're doing a recap and also kind of a preview of what we're up to here at Livable Hawaii Kai Hui. And joining me again is a familiar face, Dylan Ramos.
Hi, Kendrick. Thank you so much for having me again. Like you said, it has been a while. I think our last episode together was 2017, so it's nice to be back.
Yes, and just to start us out, just to reintroduce ourselves, recently you graduated, and now that you're back home, you got a lot of things on your plate.
I'd say so. But I guess the main thing to cover right now would be that my new title with the Hui is actually going to be Administrative Assistant. I used to be a Communications Advisor. And what I'm going to be doing with the Hui is actually a lot of the same stuff, but adding on a few new responsibilities. And that'll include setting up our office in Kamilunui Valley, doing a little more database management, and getting a lot more outreach going along with, of course, your help as community outreach coordinator.
Yes, and for myself, for some of our viewers who have remembered me in the past, I recently graduated from the George Washington University in D.C., and just this past fall, in August, I started as a first-year law student at the University of Hawaii Richardson Law School, so that's my full, let's say, daytime job. But anything outside of that, I'm back here now on the ground with Livable Hawaii Kai Hui, and my role has slightly changed, but it's a lot more in reflection of the responsibilities that I'm now able to actually be out there in the land. Before, it was a little more of a virtual arrangement, just like you, Dylan. But I think both of us, we're just glad to be back home permanently.
Absolutely. And same thing, congratulations, first of all. Same thing here, I just got back in December from Loyola Marymount University. And like you said, I'm just glad to be back and be able to be on the ground.
Right. And now, we are the next generation, I guess, per se, for Livable Hawaii Kai Hui, but we got a lot of other members, too, who actually been with us since 2004, when this organization was first started. So I guess, who are the key people that you think of that really represents Livable Hawaii Kai Hui out there in the community?
That's a big question. There are a lot of people. We are a volunteer-based organization. Even our board of directors, all volunteers. But of course, them, and just to name a few, Elizabeth Riley, our president and director. She has been great, and as always, she's the one who helped start it in 2004. Marion Gray, Gary Weller, Alan Tataishi, so many people, and one other person to add who actually isn't on our board officially anymore, but still helps us, is Gail Carr, and she has been very supportive. Right,
and basically, those group of people back in 2004 basically just put out a banner, "What makes Hawaii Kai livable?" And that's how our organization got started. And from there, it's kind of more of preserving and protecting our East Honolulu Sustainable Communities Plan. And 15 years later, now that we move forward to 2020, we now own 3 parcels. We have the Kiwi Mauka lands. We got Hawaii Heiau and Kewa Wetland Complex, and also our nursery in Kamilunui Valley. And I guess, given the amount of land, I guess people would call us a community-oriented nonprofit. We're very geographically based. But I think I think most viewers might not realize that, as a nonprofit, our volunteers, but also even our board of directors and leadership, these are members of our own community. And I think a lot of times when we look at a lot of our other colleagues in the nonprofit conservation world, we are definitely different from them. Wouldn't you say so?
Oh, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And I think, first of all, what you just covered, the fact that even our board, even our main organization, are all volunteers. That's a huge part. We have no employees. We do contract some services, but we have no employees. And also, to touch on what you just mentioned, those parcels, it's going to sound a little like a brag on the Hui, and in a way it is. I didn't know this until recently, but I found out that we are the 3rd largest landowner in the area, behind the government and Kamehameha Schools and Bishop Estate. And I think that's amazing. It's not about owning, all the land, but it is that really speaks to this whole volunteer-based thing that we help to steward it for and with the people.
Right, and actually, I think this is a great opportunity to pull up on the screen. We have a map of the KV Mauka lands and actually the entire scenic shoreline.
Yeah.
And just to, I guess, reinforce what you just said, Dylan, that yes, we are the third largest landowner. As you see, everything in green and the light green, that's owned by city and state. And then all the gray in between the neighborhoods is owned by Kamehameha Schools. And then we got these two parcels, the KV Mauka lands. Now, our other two parcels, Hawaii Heiau and Kewa Wetland and Kalunui Valley, are not part of that map. But I think that's a good representation of how far we came in the past 15 years.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, and I guess, just as a nonprofit that just started as a bunch of group of neighbors, right now, I guess there have been people in other communities that's trying to learn, or trying to understand, what we do and how do we get this far. And I know you've had some thoughts about that, Dylan.
Yes, there are times people have actually told us that they admire the way we've been able to come together, bring a lot of different types of people together. And I think a lot of it really speaks to the way we organize ourselves, and I think a lot of it has to do with us knowing our strengths and recognizing our limitations and our boundaries, but also being willing to push those at times. And we did talk about this a little earlier. If I could move on to the fact that an example of we've been supporting Save Our Sherwoods out in towards Maunalua. And I think that's a perfect example of the way some people, even in our own organization, might have differing views, but there's a lot to be said about action speaking louder than words, and sticking true to your values. And I think that's a perfect example, because a lot of the people involved in that movement were very supportive of what you just saw, of the Kaiwi Mauka lands campaign. And I think that shows a lot of integrity, and hopefully can inspire more people to stand with the people that stand with them.
Right, and I guess the other point too, which you did touch on briefly, was, we may have purchased the lands, but that's really only half the work. The other half of the work is maintaining it and stewarding it. And I know we have a couple examples just out on the Kiwi coastline, 808 cleanups, for example, and other groups. And I think, for us as an organization, we took the proactive approach, but I think now we are back there and maintaining it, but also educating the wider public and the community of what they've been able to help us to accomplish, but also that it's really about giving back through our lands to the community.
That was really well said. The Kaiwi is a perfect example, because when you really think about it, we are part of the Kaiwi Coalition. It's not all Livable Hawaii Kai Hui. And if I could just change a little bit what you said, I'd say what we're doing now is more than half the work. I think that was just what we did. Securing those lands and preserving those lands was a very important but small step, and now is the time that we have our work cut out for us.
Yeah, and then I guess to kind of just represent some of that work, we're going to just do a recap of what we've been doing in 2019. And we have a photo slideshow, actually. If we can get that up on the screen, which kind of is a highlight. And we can start first with the KV Explorations, which happened in June. And
yes.
Actually, we were both back home.
Yes, yeah, thankfully.
That summer. I just graduated, and you were just home for the summer. And even for that was just a partnership with the Sierra Club, Trust for Public Land, Huinala Canoe Club, and many other organizations. Yes, and I'm loving these pictures.
The KV Explorations, and this has been our second year with it. We also had it in 2018, and it's just been getting more beautiful and more really awe-inspiring to see the people who come together for it. And we've got such good feedback from all around. Sure, hopefully we can talk about timing the hike, so it's not as hot sometimes for the later hikes. But overall, we have only gotten positive feedback about these opportunities, and we hope to continue them.
Right. And then I guess continuing and maintaining, I think Kewa Wetland Hawaii is a great example where we have community work days, we have our second Saturday, and we have a few photos, but not only we have just anyone in the community that can come out every second Saturday of the month, but we also have community groups like the Boy Scouts and even school groups that we are able to accommodate just during the week or any time that they're able to give back and to learn. And I think in particular why 2019 is so important, which photo we have up right now, 2019 represents actually the 10th anniversary since the start of our movement to protect Hawaii Kewa Wetland, and really started from a drumming ceremony back in 2009.
Yes, I love this story because, and I'm kind of embarrassed to say that I hadn't even heard of it, heard this particular story until we had this 10th year anniversary. But it really is amazing. When that piece of land was at risk of being developed in 2009, what the Hui had done was organize a drumming circle and as a way to bring out people, actual bodies, to take up space and stand up for the Aina. And so it was a beautiful way to commemorate the 10th anniversary in last year, right, by asking people to bring their pahu and have another drumming circle in celebration of what we've accomplished all together.
Yes. And then I guess with that, it is kind of just more passing the knowledge with our different community work days. We have, all the time students from UH. Yeah. Especially for you, Dylan, because this has kind of been like year 3 or 4 since you've been populating with our volunteer database and our communication volunteer outreach. Like, how has that changed in the past few years? Like, has there been a lot more people? What is your observations on that?
Yes, I've noticed a lot of people. Where we really see it, of course, we see it on those work days, but where we really see it is in between. I believe this past year, the number was about 360 different just organizations, and including like what we just saw, the Boy Scouts, but the Boy Scouts Sierra Club, different UH, but also many different individuals who are asking us, are we only able to come on second Saturdays? And thankfully, we have a lot of volunteers who are able to help lead them and work throughout the month, throughout the weeks in between. Yeah. And that has included a lot of Eagle Scout projects. Community service projects from the different high schools and middle schools, and yeah, it's been beautiful.
Yeah, and I guess one example quickly, which we just shown in the last photo, we have the Sierra Club. They have a Malama tree program, and basically it's to plant and to water native trees, and then we actually kind of been making a go of planting 100, right?
I believe our pledge is 200.
Oh, 200.
And we are on our way. I believe that was part of I guess a pilot, not exactly a pilot project, but a way to get it started. We are 20 in, we have 180 more to go, and hopefully a lot more after that.
Yeah, and then with that, not only we bring people to our lands, but we also reach out and beyond, and we got other events too that we have a presence in the East Honolulu community. That would include the Kiwi Coast Run and Walk, which we do have a photo of, and also just really acknowledging our partners. Hawaii 1,000 Friends, an example, which we have a photo up right now of our organization with the board director of Hawaii 1,000 Friends, Donna Wong. And I guess, so many great partnerships, and I think what's special is that we continue sustaining these partnerships and these coalitions together.
Absolutely. And I think, we've touched on this already, but it can't be stressed enough that we are a volunteer-based organization. So these partnerships and willing volunteers who are reaching out to us are key to our efforts.
Yeah. And then I guess another special project that is happening is we're building a traditional holly.
Yes. Oh, yeah. That is a big. I'm glad you brought that up. That is a big new thing on our list, and we've already had many dozens, if not over 100 volunteers already, putting in many hours coming in to work with Holani Hana Inc., led by Kumu Francis Polani Sinensi. And he is, I believe his official title is Kuhi Kuhi Puone, a Master Indigenous Architect. And he is amazing. He's been amazing in the way he's led our work. been doing a lot of prep work of the logs in Kamilanui Valley at our nursery.
Yeah.
And then we are, by the time this episode airs, hopefully we are getting it started on the grounds of Hawaiʻi.
Yeah. I mean, a really special project. And I guess one person we should quickly acknowledge is Tina Ayu.
Yes, absolutely. Tina Ayu has been an amazing coordinator of this project. And like I said, it has happened so fast. At first, it was just an idea, and then all of a sudden, these logs are ready to go. And we are really excited. One thing that we have been doing in conjunction with another partner of ours, Maunalua.net, has been these cultural talk stories. And now that we have this traditional holiday project going on, we really hope that this will become a community center that can include cultural talks like this.
Yeah. And we do have a work schedule for early of this year, which we did just previously show on the screen, our workday flyer. And then I guess with that, I guess just a year in recap, what is great is that, each of our different projects and parcels, each of them have a significance in some way or the other. And I really like where we got volunteers who are focused in one project and one's in a different project. And I think we're really to bring, I guess, interest, but in so many different realms within the conservation.
Yeah, I think that goes back to our initial question back in the beginning about what makes our organization unique, and I think that is a big one, that we have these different projects. A lot of people actually sometimes get confused, who is Livable Hawaii Kai Hui, because they know us by Aloha Aina o Kamilanui, they know us by Hawaiʻi Complex and Keaupawa Wetland, they know us by Kaiwi Mauka, and which is great. We do want the focus really to be on those Malama Aina, Aloha Aina projects, and hopefully we can build a bigger relationship through Livable Hawaii Kai Hui, just so that people can help us strengthen all these efforts together.
Sure. And then, with that, I guess we can kind of move forward towards looking at what we have in store for this year, and I guess maybe starting with the completion of the holiday, but also a lot of great things coming in. In fact, we do have a special event coming up at Keaupawa Wetland next month. Yes,
we will have World Wetlands Day again, World Wetlands Day 2020, and this year's theme is Life Thrives in Wetlands, Wetlands and Biodiversity. And right on the screen we have our flyer, and we're gonna have many booths with community partners, hands-on keiki activities. Halahula Kalehua Puakea is going to be there, and we'll have many guest speakers, cultural experts, and ecology experts, including our own Dr. Charles Van Rees, who has gotten his PhD from Tufts. A lot of those hours came from working at the wetland with the Alaiula, and we're going to be so fortunate to have him back for that.
Yes, and I guess, it's also kind of coming home as, we got other key individuals within our organization that has been working really hard to put on World's Wetland Day and really actually taking care of Keaupawa Wetland. And Marty LaPadre is one, a retired teacher.
Yes.
And she's also been on this show before. And also we got other couple of new key members, Luca.
Yes, Luca Zavis. She has been, again, just like Tina Ayu earlier, both of them have been amazing new partners to work with and in coordinating our projects. And Luca has worked hard. She helped do that flyer that you just saw, and securing the food trucks. There will be food trucks there, and it's going to be an amazing time. I'm very excited.
Yeah, and then just one more time, what's the date and time again?
It'll be February 8th from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. all day, full day of festivities.
All right. And then I guess moving towards Kaiwi Mauka lands, I guess our Kaiwi explorations, which we've been offering guided hikes to the community to participate and to enjoy the Kaiwi Mauka lands. Back in 2017, we started in the month of August, one weekend, and then last year it was in June. And this year we're actually moving up the calendar.
Yes, and this will be a perfect opportunity for us to hopefully engage a different audience, and also a lot of the same people who have remained interested and supportive of us. But we're hoping that by changing up the dates a little bit, we can get a little different weather, get a little different open up the opportunity to more people who aren't able to make it to our usual dates.
And then for 2020, for KV Explorations, it's going to be on the last weekend of March on March 28th and March 30th. So it's going to be a Saturday and a Monday, and it's right after Prince Kahil Day. So another great time of the year. And also, I just wanted to quickly highlight that we recently been engaged with the Plant a Million Tree Initiative, and we have Dr. Camilo Mora from UH who's been advising us and supporting us on that endeavor. And then we've been able to get different volunteer groups and to get the thing started. But really, this year is going to be the year to really test as a pilot that can we really plant trees, as East Side is actually a very hot area.
It is, and yes, we tend to see some of our green mountains, but then when there's not a lot of rain, unlike right now, but when there's not a lot of rain, you start to see the brown sides, and you realize it can be difficult. It can be difficult,
Right.
But like you said, this pilot project is bound to be really trying, but also very exciting.
Yeah, and I guess that's why recently, last year, we've officially became part of the Ko'ola Watershed Partnership, a really great resource of groups, and they're going to be helping us as well as the NRCS to guide us in terms of conservation practices. In fact, we actually recently closed out in Kewa Wetland with our NCERS partnership. Yes,
I think what you just touched on is a good segue into our whole our whole focus on watersheds. They are very important, and that really highlights. In 2018, we experienced those huge, massive floods that devastated Kamilanui Valley, and among other places. But in Kamilanui Valley, our nursery was devastated, and I want to take this opportunity to thank everybody who supported our GoFundMe and our fundraising to really restore that. And that is still in the process, and we hope more people can come out. But that really highlighted our need to discuss Mauka to Makai watershed planning, and being with the KMWP is a perfect way to do that.
Yes, and I guess, part of it in terms of the sites we preserve, there's always, the short-term site of protecting that one parcel, but it really speaks more about the general area of within that community. And I think Aloha Aina Kulonui, it's a great example where we have that one parcel, but it's part of an agriculture zone, which is leased by Kamehameha Schools.
Yes, and yeah, we really hope to bring a lot of focus, especially in these coming years, to that valley. And we've started with that by bringing the traditional hale. We did a lot of the initial education and prep work over there, but it's also a perfect place to highlight where we're going in this coming year. We hope to be starting. Right on the screen is the nursery. And Tina on the left, she is going to be helping us organize a community gardens project. And that is something I'm really excited about. We have a lot more to discuss, but like you said, it is an agricultural area. I believe it's the only one left in Hawaii Kai.
Yes.
Hawaii Kai area, so we are very excited to get that going.
Yeah, and I mean, so many great things happening, and even just us as an organization, I know we got some key events that we try to do every year. I know as an organization, we would like to do an annual gathering. I think we it just kind of fell behind with us last year, but I know this year we're definitely going to do that again. As of just 2 years ago, we co-led and doing the annual gathering at James University in Hawaii Kai. Another area that is under lease, and we hope that it's not just about what's not has been developed, but also maintaining the balance of a residential community. And James is a great example.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think I just want to touch on what you said. The reason that we weren't able to do quite a big gathering this past year was because we've been so fortunate to be so busy with all these different projects and working with all these different volunteers. But yes, now that we're both back for a good time now, we can start planning a bigger annual gathering.
And I guess going back to who is Livable Hawaii Kai Hui. And I think another key thing is, we may have our own geographic focus out in Maunalua, but I think just our work and, of us, in terms of our values, we can have a lot more to share with other communities as well.
Absolutely. I was thinking earlier when you asked me a question about what makes us unique and how people approach us and think about us. One thing I noticed is that one of our key values, I think, that guides us all is people hear the cliche, think globally, act locally. And that's very important. I agree with that 100%. But I think if we take that same principle of think globally, act locally, we can see that what happens here can affect other places. People talk about what happens other places affects here, but turn that around, and that's what we hope to do, be that role model, inspiration for other efforts around the island, the state, everywhere.
Right. And as we're growing now that we kind of just finished through our undergraduate college careers, and now we're moving into our early professional lives, there's still a lot more opportunity for people to get involved with our organization. Absolutely.
Actually, we're going to be needing that because as Kendrick and I move on and take on new responsibilities, it's not because everything we want to do is finished. It's just because there are new needs, and that said, new spots to fill.
And this encompasses both small and large roles. Even from small, just coming out to our second Saturdays, but even larger roles. We're always in need of people with talents, whether that's communication, like visual, digital media, even. In terms of administrative, like grant writing. And we just want to flash on the screen one more time. If you just have any idea of how you can give back to the community and want to learn more about us, just drop us an email, directors@hawaiikaihui.org.
Yes, please.
Yeah. And I guess, finally, as a final question for you, Dylan, I guess how does your work at Livable Hawaii Kai Hui ties into maybe what you're hoping to, accomplish in life?
That is a big question. That's a big question. But I think if I can take that broadly, I have been confused a little bit with what I want to do in life overall, professionally especially. But I always knew that I wanted to live in Hawaii, and I think what we do in Livable Hawaii Kai Hui is keeping that balance, finding that balance of being living for ourselves, but also living for others and living for the island, living for the environment. And I think we really need to. I think it really helps me at least find that balance.
Yeah, and I guess I really share the same thing as you, and I would just go further to say I guess for me it really encompasses everything in terms of the real big issues that's really facing our community, and really just tackling them on one by one. And I think that's a great lesson for everyone. But again, thanks again for being on the show, Dylan.
Thank you so much.
And we just want to finally thank Ōlelo Studios at Kaimuki High School for putting on this show and studio, and also to our sponsor, Livable Hawaii Kai Hui. Thank you again for viewing another episode of Maunalua, Past, Present, and Future.